Dragon Ball Super Superhero has finally released worldwide in theaters, which means today we are ranking every single Dragon Ball movie from the worst to the best. Welcome all Dragon Ball fans, thank you so much for clicking on this video. Be assured that there will be no spoilers for Dragon Ball Super Superhero in this video, but I do have a spoiler-free review right up here for you to check out, as well as a review for every single one of the movies that we're going to be ranking today, ranging from the original Dragon Ball movies to the Dragon Ball Z movies to, of course, the Super films, and we're going to disagree in our rankings. That's really part of the fun when it comes to discussing Dragon Ball, a franchise which we all love so much. We do have to get through some pretty bad stuff to get to the good Dragon Ball stories that have stood the test of time, that we have emotionally resonated with, so start with your rankings in the comments below, and without any further ado, let's get started. Dragon Ball Z Bio Broly easily comes in last place. How the mighty have fallen. A fan favorite character in Broly who stood out due to his great visual design and true menace that he represented is now reduced to a literal melting puddle of mud that is kinda disgusting to look at. I really cannot recommend anything about this film. The action is boring, the story drags, apart from some visually awesome looking artwork and a somewhat refreshing focus on Goten, Trunks, and 18. The comedy is subpar, the story has nothing for us to emotionally grab onto, and it's one of those films that kind of refuses to get itself done with, much like Broly in this film kind of refuses to die, even though he's constantly dying from the beginning. This was a real low for the Dragon Ball franchise, and thankfully they recouped immediately after, but we'll get to those films in a bit. Dragon Ball The Legend of Shenron comes in at number 21, and this was actually the first ever Dragon Ball movie, so they were not off to the best start. The entire film is just 40 minutes of collecting the key points from the quite big Pilaf saga and inserting them in fast succession, to the point that you don't even have proper time to absorb it all, and the film makes no effort to create genuine connection between these plot points. It doesn't feel like they built to one another, it just feels like they randomly happen and then suddenly it's over. It's somewhat nice that the story ends with the summoning of Shenron. It's an awe-inspiring moment that is iconic within the context of Dragon Ball, but apart from that, it completely misses out on delivering a proper representation of what made Dragon Ball work for its core audience, missing out on the magic and really on the iconic characterizations. The entire film is so fast and loose and feels so happenstance that you barely remember it 5 minutes after watching it. Dragon Ball Z The Return of Cooler cracks us into the top 20, and this movie is so boring. It's probably the most boring out of any of these movies. It has some memorable action beats, some cool visuals, and nice reveals here and there, but it has zero regards to story and to connecting these cool reveals, memorable action beats, and nice visuals overall. Cooler is reduced to a mindless patsy serving a chip. A chip is the real villain of this movie. Where Dragon Ball has become known to an outside audience for having these action-centric climaxes, this entire film is an action-centric climax of absolutely mindless action. The keyword there being mindless. I barely remember anything about the setup, the core of the film, and even the climax, despite this featuring Vegeta's debut in the Dragon Ball films. Just a massive disappointment in every regard. Dragon Ball Z Broly's Second Coming comes in at number 19, and really, this was the beginning of the end for the original version of the legendary Super Saiyan, where the entire film comes together and really happens through pure convenience and coincidence. The first half of the film should have Broly easily murder Videl, Trunks, and Goten that somehow survive and even make somewhat a fair fight against him. It's not up until Gohan comes into the picture that the film significantly picks up in pace and momentum, with Gohan carrying that backstory of their first encounter in the original Broly movie, but despite some interesting concepts, the execution does not bring it together in a good way whatsoever. That iconic Family Kamehameha is a brilliant Dragon Ball visual, but it doesn't feel earned whatsoever in the context of this film, where all these cool moments just didn't feel thought through and the execution feels massively undercooked. Dragon Ball Z BoJack Unbound comes in at number 18, and I used to love this movie as a kid, but it has not stood the test of time whatsoever with its bland villains that lack any clear motivation and personalities, backstories that sound interesting but are spat out to us through King Kai's exposition, and it's not up until the last 10 minutes where it actually focuses on Gohan standing up for himself after an unnecessary pep talk from Goku that basically does all the work for him to deliver the final blow. The first half of this film with a lighthearted tournament is actually pretty good, but it lacks a clear protagonist, and where this film clearly wanted to focus on Gohan, it absolutely misunderstood what makes him such a compelling lead in the context of Dragon Ball. So this one kind of broke my heart, unfortunately. At number 17, Dragon Ball Z Dead Zone, the first ever Dragon Ball Z movie where it has some creepy looking villains, some interesting concepts, and it builds up to delivering the iconic duo of Goku and Piccolo working together, but in execution doesn't bring all these concepts together nicely, with some really lazy plot conveniences, with Garlic Jr. kidnapping Gohan when really he just wants the Dragon Ball, but the plot needs Gohan to be there to kill him at the end. The subplot in this film with Gohan getting drunk is fun enough, but it contrasts tonally with the rest of the film that is meant to be quite heavy and somber. So while there are some nice characterizations and awesome action sequences that became iconic as the opening to the anime episodes in the US, the story really needed a lot of work for me. Dragon Ball Z Lord Slug comes in at number 16, the film that presented the Super Saiyan form to the world before Akira Toriyama even presented it in the manga. This is a film with some really lazy subplots once again. There are some nice action sequences, the setting is quite different to the rest of the franchise, giving it a more weighty sense of dread, and the action feels more impactful, but this form reveals itself useless, and the way the film concludes with Gohan's whistling is as annoying to the Namex as it is for me as a viewer. It's just one of those films that has quite the promising start, but its lazy subplots and the way it brings it all together, again, just needed a ton more rewrites for me. Not to mention Slug feeling quite underdeveloped as a villain. This is a Namek, but that reveal was so obvious from the beginning, you don't even really understand why the characters in the film are shocked when he takes his helmet off. Dragon Ball Z World's Strongest comes in at number 15, and really the biggest issues I have with this film is that the visual references are so clearly absolute ripoffs of the Vegeta and Goku fight. There's just no other way around it, but the animation is honestly brilliant and the plot structure is quite interesting. Goku dives into this enemy base and it feels like an Indiana Jones in the world of Dragon Ball, which I really like, and it's also nice to see all the Z Warriors working together. So while on a visual standpoint, despite the animation being brilliant, is completely stolen from something else within the same franchise, I think the story works quite well, despite a very boring villain that basically represents no threat and literally does nothing for 3/4 of this entire movie. Dragon Ball Z Cooler's Revenge comes in at number 14, and what this film has going for it is awesome visuals and action set pieces. One of them, Piccolo even gets to steal the show, and it feels more like a genuine part of the grand Dragon Ball story over just being a recap or repetition of the Frieza saga. What it lacks though is characterization. It carries over more so the worst parts of the Frieza saga, and Cooler just completely lacks a fun personality to make him likable or fun to watch as a villain, and Goku in a divine sort of way just comes back from near death with absolutely no reason, literally reviving a bird out of nowhere and making the climax feel rather easy to get through. So it builds up in such a great way that the payoff feels absolutely dissatisfying, even though Cooler has such an awesome visual design. What makes him stand out as a character is almost nothing. Dragon Ball Z Resurrection F comes in at number 13, and once more we have a film with such a promising start that sets out to have Frieza as the protagonist, but for the bulk of this film it's just mindless action that carries no emotional resonance whatsoever. It's not fulfilling any particular arc for any of these characters, and it features the worst transformation reveal in the franchise for me. Super Saiyan Blue or Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan doesn't feel earned whatsoever. It just feels like it happens. While the action is visually astounding, even if unimaginative, seeing Goku Vegeta versus Frieza will never not be fun to watch, but the ending feels like it accomplishes nothing, where characters find themselves in the same exact status quo that they already were at the beginning. Plus, Goku steals that final blow from Vegeta with absolutely no reason. So even though he's my favorite character in the franchise, I have to call him out for such a douchebag move. Plus, this film gives absolutely no reason for Whis and Beerus' presence without taking part in the action, so it just feels like they're being assholes and douches until they actually do something to bring the entire film to a close, which again feels like it was all wasted time to stay in the exact same place. Dragon Ball Z Super Android 13 comes in at number 12. This might be very unpopular because by this time, the 7th Dragon Ball Z movie, the formula was tried and true and tested. But the workings within that formula really work for me. Seeing 3 Saiyans versus 3 androids that have quirky personalities, fun designs, and a nice transformation to them where it feels like the next stage in Dr. Giro's machinations. I hate the fetishized version of Goku that punches through the enemy's belly, one of my favorite tropes in Dragon Ball, by the way, but this climax just comes so suddenly and so out of nowhere, and it focuses way too much on Goku's gums, way too close up. I still don't get what is up with that, but the action is fun, the plot comes together nicely, it's simple, it's very to the point, and I really enjoy seeing these characters fight alongside one another with some awesome key visuals and a great location. Seriously, fighting in the North Pole amongst icebergs, I want to see more of that in Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball Mystical Adventure comes in at number 11. Take all my faults with Dragon Ball The Legend of Shenron, and this film corrected it, where it picks up the story beats, characterizations, themes from the anime and manga, and collages them together to create its own original plot. It has a tournament taking place next to the palace of an emperor who is being manipulated to get the Dragon Balls. It all works seamlessly, it brings all the characters together in a way that feels natural, and it features some really fun humor, some awesome action, and all the best elements that had the core audience fall in love with this series. These films were originally engineered to appeal to a wider audience, so they would come and watch a show that already appealed to us, the core audience, and this film does a really good job at it. It still feels somewhat rushed, not all the resolutions come together as nicely as they should or even could, but the effort that the animation team, the story team, put into bringing all of this together for a 45-minute runtime is impressive and can never be accused of being lazy. There was real effort put into this one. Dragon Ball Sleeping Princess in Devil's Castle cracks us into the top 10, and this movie is so much fun, where it has all the best elements that made us fall in love with Dragon Ball. The fun characterizations, the charming, silly humor, all the slapstick, the fabulous action sequences. It's such a simple plot that carries over the themes, story elements that are so key for this story to work, and gives us its own unique original story, but that it feels such a part of Dragon Ball naturally. Goku and Krillin go off on an adventure to try and satisfy their new master, with the team after them falling into this creepy, somber castle filled with monsters that gives way to some really fun moments. One to this day that makes me crack up loudly. But it also delivers all the great action with some iconic moments. A villain that is named Lucifer, Goku turning into the Uzaru, and a Kamehameha that destroys everything, showing its true power. This is the best out of the original run of films for me. At number 9, we have Dragon Ball Z Battle of Gods, perhaps the most important movie in this list. It's a movie that brought Dragon Ball back from somewhat obscurity, that expanded our understanding of what it could be, on the heights it could reach, really on its limitless potential. Beerus and Whis are such great additions to the mythos that feel such organic parts of it, like they could have always been there and it wouldn't change a thing. The story never fully works for me. I have a ton of fun with this film. I go back to it repeatedly, but I just don't think of it as one of the really great Dragon Ball movies. The action is fantastic, with the 3 key action sequences in this representing the best aspects of Dragon Ball. The fun and charming humor represented in that first fight between Goku and Beerus, Vegeta's fight against Beerus representing his immense character development throughout the series from when he was first introduced, and the main event, even though it features the worst mix I have ever seen of 2D and 3D animation, it's just wall-to-wall fabulous action. It feels grand, it feels big, it feels impactful, it feels like Dragon Ball never lost a step. Dragon Ball Z, The Tree of Might, comes in at number 8, and not many Dragon Ball movies can brag about having a deeper theme to its stories, but this one can, even having a poetic nature to the plot. The action is absolutely phenomenal. This is to this day still one of the best looking Dragon Ball movies, seeing the Z Warriors fight against the forces of Tarls, and Tarls himself is such a fun villain to watch. Not only seeing as he is strong, but such a conniving, machinating villain that tests the personal boundaries of Goku, who by the end comes together with the literal life force of the Earth to expel this poisonous parasite from it. This one is a ton of fun and really has stood the test of time. Dragon Ball Z Broly, the legendary Super Saiyan, comes in at number 7, and fun fact, this film originally came out on March 6th, 1993, just one day before I was born. And if you want to watch Dragon Ball just for the action, but you want great action, the one that feels built up to, the one that is earned through story, this is that type of action. Broly became a fan favorite for good reason. He is such a massive force of nature that feels so limitless in his power as he continues to grow literally and figuratively. The entire film is an exciting action extravaganza of Broly going wild, destroying cities, exploding entire planets with one blow, and making easy work of all the strongest Z warriors. The issues of this film really come down to how much it has to cram into such a short time. Paragus' continuous ramblings about Broly's backstory, instead of us seeing it, take a lot away from the pacing and from the impact it could have emotionally, and Broly's motivations are kind of pathetic here. Really, just because Goku cried, that's why he's so strong. He's an awesome looking character that should have more interesting motivations to him, which thankfully in the future he does, but we'll get to that in a bit. Dragon Ball Z Fusion Reborn comes in at number 6, and this is such a simple premise with two simple plots naturally converging and feeding into one another. Goku and Vegeta coming together in Otherworld doesn't feel contrived whatsoever, and it puts them up against a formidable foe in Janemba that starts off as light and fun but quickly turns into real menace. He is such a formidable foe with a fabulous visual design and a uniquely imaginative moveset. I think the subplot on Earth gets off rails a little bit in the second half with all the villains and even Hitler coming back to life. And the birth of Gogeta, as awesome as it is with his incredible movesets and honestly the flawless animation throughout this entire film in such a great setting for this iconic fight, sadly it only lasts for about 5 minutes on screen, which is a shame. It builds up so well to such a great cathartic climax that doesn't last all too long. But before we head into my top 5 Dragon Ball movies, don't forget to start the conversation with your Dragon Ball movie rankings in the comments below. That's the most important part. Which ones are your favorites and why? Also, if you're enjoying this ranking video, I have so many others like it on my channel. You can check them out right up here. And if you enjoy movies and TV, this is the place to be. So make sure you click that subscribe button and you won't miss any future conversation on your favorite movies and TV. Without any further ado, let's get on to the top 5. Dragon Ball Z Bardock, the father of Goku, cracks us into the top 5, and I love my dark, gritty stories, and that's what we get here, showcasing the Saiyans at their most ruthless under the Iron Fist rule of the evil tyrant Frieza. It's a tragically compelling story where Bardock shows himself nothing like his own son that only makes Goku all the more righteous and admirable. And as the mainline series never fully embraced the darker aspects of its own story, I appreciate this. Bardock is a dick. He's an asshole. This is a story of bad versus worse. The Saiyans are just as bad as Frieza, but there's this cloud of lingering doom weighing upon them, and you feel that sense of dread throughout this entire story. I wish the future sight mechanic was a little bit more elaborated, where it doesn't really properly show Bardock who is bringing his species to extinction, but it doesn't shy away from leaving off on this very dark ending while giving this one character a hope for the future in someone that is so much better than him. Dragon Ball Z History of Trunks comes in at number 4. Once more, a dark story with mature themes where the weight of characters' choices and the consequences that come with those are truly felt throughout, with Trunks being such a beautiful protagonist for such a story. I have small issues with this. I think Trunks has no reason to survive his fight against the androids, and the world building is weak. People are going about their everyday lives like it was nothing when this is the one city left in the world after the androids destroyed everything else. But apart from that, it has such a compelling tale between Gohan and Trunks, with mentor and mentee, seeing him face the darker side of the world where everything truly feels hopeless, and Trunks representing that one hope for the world that really elaborates on him coming to the past to help the Z Warriors, to meet his father, to trust in Goku, to lead them to a brighter future. We already love Dragon Ball as it is, but this is one of those smaller, intimate stories that enhances the thematic nature of the grander Dragon Ball mythos, and I'm so happy it exists. At number 3, we have the latest film in the franchise, Dragon Ball Super Superhero, where we're brought back to the more small-scale and intimate character-driven narrative and themes of the original series, with Gohan and Piccolo getting their long due time in the spotlight, written in their most compelling ways since the Cell Saga. There are so many endearing moments here and so many phenomenal moments of characterization. Really, this film is filled with surprises on a story level and on a character level. It's not really about saving the world, but it's a story that specifically requires Gohan and Piccolo to drive it forward, and it feels earned that they're leading the charge here. It feels earned that Goku and Vegeta are not part of this story, even though we do see where they are at the time of this story. It's about just these two characters, that compelling relationship of mentor-mentee, and fostering that next generation, progressing through struggle. All the magic elements that have made Dragon Ball so timeless and so emotionally resonating. I actually really wish I could talk spoilers for this one. There are so many all-time Dragon Ball moments in the back half of this. The climax is out of this world fantastic. I wish they could have stood with classic 2D animation. I just don't think the action looks or feels as visceral, and it does take a while to get going, but once it does, this is an all-timer Dragon Ball movie, and that's why it comes in at number 3. Our runner-up is Dragon Ball Super Broly. Not only did Akira Toriyama make a fan-favorite character canon, but wrote him in such a compelling way, he feels like a natural part of the Dragon Ball mythos, but also feels truer to what he was always supposed to be. This menacing, uncontrollable force of nature that now comes from tragedy in such a compelling manner that we get to experience his backstory, making him as a character and this film better for it. Gogeta also finally has his time to shine, a transformation that feels earned, that these characters have to run against the clock to finally come together in fusion, and we don't just get 5 minutes with this character, we get an all-out, glacier melting, volcano erupting, all-out brawl between Gogeta and Broly that is one of the greatest fights we have ever witnessed in Dragon Ball. And it's one of the greatest fights because we don't really dislike Broly, we now understand Broly, we now somewhat root for Broly, with Frieza making his ever-menacing presence felt throughout this entire film, but it carries real stakes when even seeing Beerus barely stands a chance against Broly. The visuals and score are absolutely phenomenal. To me, this is the best looking, best sounding Dragon Ball movie overall, leading to a cathartic finale that creates intrigue for the future of the series. But there is one movie that touches my heart even more than this one. Dragon Ball Z Wrath of the Dragon comes in at number 1. This is the Dragon Ball movie I emotionally resonate with the most. It's tragic and dark and compelling and feels like such a natural part of Dragon Ball. Such an informative story to who Trunks is as a character, to who he eventually becomes, carrying such strong themes with Tapion being the hopeless lost hero and Trunks the eager to please hopeful youth. Tapion is such a great character in just a span of 50 minutes. I absolutely need Akira Toriyama to make him canon. The action set pieces and animation are also absolutely flawless. They're the cherry on top of the cake, and the cake is the story that just uses the Dragon Balls to kick off the plot, and from then on it allows characters, emotions, and decisions to drive the narrative forward. The pacing can feel somewhat rushed, as the emotional potential of this is slightly staggered by the short runtime, but the emotional potential it still reaches despite that runtime only speaks to the power of this story thematically. The climax is absolutely incredible, with Goku using Dragon Fist after Trunks being stopped by the weight of that responsibility of taking Tapion's life away, and the ending still feels tragically compelling while offering some catharsis in the possibility of hope for Tapion's future. This is a theme that best captures the characterizations, the story resonance, and the themes of Dragon Ball for me, and that's why it comes in at number 1. But that is only my ranking of the Dragon Ball movies. Let me know how you rank all these films in the comments below if you have seen them all, or just let me know your favorites. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much to my channel members for always supporting this channel, and I'll be back very soon with more videos. So until the next one, love each other and love the movies.